amazing day to be part of. I thought I would just be introducing our speaker, but I can't let this time go by without first saying I'm Stephen Garber. My wife Susie and I are very, very pleased to sponsor our guest speaker, our scholar in residence, who will follow me to the podium. But that bat mitzvah, this service, this congregation is something that is incredibly wonderful to stand before and to share with you what I'd like to share with you. So when Rabbi Applebaum and I had lunch a few weeks ago, I asked him what Shavuot meant to him. And he had one word answer: renewal. And renewal is such an important part of our faith. It is such an important part of going to Minyan every day for those who do, and to coming to this shul every week and for every holiday, because we are renewed by remembering our faith and our spirit. Susie and I wanted to meaningfully remember those who begat us, who brought us up on this day that is so special in that it is the 18th anniversary of my father's yortzeit, of his passing, and the 36th of Susie's dad's passing. And to have that coincide this year with the two calendars was something particularly special. My dad died. Rabbi last night spoke about the counting of the Omer. So every year the counting of the Omer is something I remember as counting down to the yortzeit of my beloved father. Susie's dad, Fred Mellinger, died 36 years ago. I didn't have the pleasure to meet him, but he brought love and joy everywhere he went. And I'm sorry that I did never meet him. And we live by our reputation. We live by the people who follow us. We live by our families who we celebrate with. And we live by the stories we tell. Hashem knows how important it is today to be continually renewed in our faith, to face the challenges that face this world and face our Jewish world, our very Jewish identity. We have an unfortunate history of there being a lot of challenges to be Jewish. And we have a wonderful history of being resilient and of telling the stories of our families, of our faith, and of our communities to each other. Dr. Roitman, who I will soon introduce, is an amazing, wonderful speaker and an incredible storyteller. He's more than a curator, he's a passionate interpreter of voices of the past. We had the opportunity to learn from him last night over dinner about all the different parts which he will teach us that the Dead Sea Scrolls bring to us, and how relevant they are to the deepest questions we have today. It tells us, the scrolls tell us what it was like to be Jewish 2,000 years ago, and what we can learn from that for today. The passing of my parents, each in their own way, brought me home to my Jewish faith. My loving mom and her love of community brought me here to B'nai Torah to say daily Kaddish. That's when I met Rabbi Steinhardt, and I knew I'd found my community. My dad was driven by a desire to belong. He was an unwanted fifth child, born into a poor family just before the recession, the Great Depression. He was only 11 months younger than his next oldest brother in a family of 5. His mother let him know he was not wanted, and he felt like the stone thrown aside. The resilience of my family, the resilience of our faith, the resilience that I like to believe lives in me, comes from his guiding Nagun, Even Moasu. And at the risk of not comparing to the bat mitzvah, Even Moasu, Moasu Abanim, Hayta Lerosh Pinam. That was his epitaph. A stone cast away by builders becoming a cornerstone. This is from God. It's in his wondrous eyes. My dad rose to build a business. He built a community. He built a synagogue, Temple Amuna in Lexington. But most importantly, he built the foundation of a family. 3 children, 5 grandchildren, 15 great-grandchildren. But perhaps his greatest legacy was he made it his Even Moasu, his mission, to build the family tree. And when he retired, there were 65 people on that tree. And when he passed, there were 22,000 people on our family tree from all over the world. Many cousins met through him, because of him, that did not even know people existed. This, to me, is the connection to what we will hear, the stories of our past, the stories of our people. But I'm going to break a little bit here and talk about my wonderful friend, our shy, but now very retiring Rabbi Steinhardt. I meant to say not shy, but very retiring Rabbi Steinhardt. Rabbi, you brought to Susie and to me, and to thousands more souls, your love and leadership to build this vibrant Jewish community that connects to our wider communities in deep and meaningful ways. For many of us, you are the renewing spirit of a loving Jewish foundation and the essential storyteller. You are the essential storyteller of this Jewish community. Thank you. So Dr. Roitman, it's time to do my job. Dr. Roitman was born in Buenos Aires in Argentina and made Aliyah to Israel in 1980. He is a rabbi, a biblical scholar, and he just retired from 30 years as curator of the Dead Sea Scrolls and director of the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. He earned his bachelor's degree and teaching qualifications from the University of Buenos Aires in 1980, then pursued advanced studies at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, obtaining a master's degree in comparative religion in 1985 and a PhD in ancient Jewish thought in 1993, focusing his dissertation on the Book of Judith. In 1986, he was ordained rabbi by the Latin American Rabbinical Cemetery. Dr. Roitman's contributions have been recognized. What did I say? Seminary. Cemetery? What did I say? One day. Oops. Rabbi had an oops. I had an oops. We have oops today. Dr. Roitman's contributions have been recognized with several honors, including honorary doctorates from the Rocky Mountain College in the United States and the Catholic University in Cuyo, Argentina. His published works are too many to mention, so with that, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Professor Rabbi Adolfo Roitman.
Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov. Really, it's a real pleasure to be part of this theater. And now, I was told by the rabbi, remember, you have only 15 minutes now. Very large, 15. 5 more minutes. Tomorrow, we are about to celebrate the festival of Shavuot. And Shavuot is part of the Shloshet HaRegalim, the 3 major festivals according to the Torah: Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And according to the Torah, the people of Israel, they should go up to the temple and to worship God. on that day. In Second Temple Judaism, the Temple of Jerusalem was regarded not just as a very significant institution. The building in itself was seen as a major building. In rabbinical tradition, in the Babylonian Talmud, in Baba Batra, is written, "He who has not seen Herod's temple has never seen a beautiful building." But it's not only a building. In Second Temple Judaism, the city of Jerusalem and the temple were regarded as the center of the world. We have a tradition in Midrash Tanhuma. It's a rabbinical source, but actually the tradition containing this source, we assume that it's coming from Second Temple times, when for the first time in Jewish tradition is argued that Jerusalem and the temple are the center of the universe. And I quote, "As the navel is set in the center of the human body, so is the land of Israel, the navel of the world, situated in the center of the world, and Jerusalem in the center of the land of Israel, and the sanctuary in the center of Jerusalem, and the holy place in the center of the sanctuary, and the ark in the center of the holy place, and the foundation stone before the holy place, because from it the world was founded." In Second Temple time, the Kodesh HaKodashim was actually empty. The ark disappeared by the end of First Temple time. And we don't know what happened with the ark. Only Spielberg knows what happened. But we don't know. But even though Jerusalem and the temple were regarded as the center of the universe, obviously, I assume this is not new for you. However, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a great surprise for you. In Second Temple time, Jews also disagree between each other. Yes, I know. It's not like in Boca that everyone agrees with everyone, really, right? Especially here at the congregation. So, thanks to different written sources that reach us from Second Temple Judaism, we have a different perspective about Jerusalem and the temple. One of the central books we have from Second Temple literature is called the Book of Enoch. Enoch is mentioned in the Torah, in the book of Genesis, chapter 5, and we have a striking story according to which Enoch didn't pass away. He just disappeared, was taken up into heaven by God, and that's it, he disappeared. We have another second example, and he's Elijah, the prophet. And about Enoch, we have just 4 verses in chapter 5, and that's it. But in Second Temple Judaism, we have a huge literature around Enoch. By the end of the 18th century, in the beginning of 19th century, manuscripts from Ethiopia reached Europe. And then the Europeans, they discovered a new book that we call the Book of Enoch, or First Enoch, because we have Second Enoch, we have Third Enoch, and First Enoch is written in classical Ethiopic, in Ge'ez, I assume a very popular language in Boca Raton, yes. Now, scholars assume that the original one was not written in Ethiopic. It should have been translated from Greek into Ethiopic. And actually, manuscripts in Greek were discovered in European libraries. But then they assumed that the original one was not written in Greek. They assumed it was written in a Semitic language, or in Hebrew and Aramaic. And today we know the right answer. The original writings were written in Aramaic. How we know? Because it's written on Wikipedia. And it never lies. Real answer is because fragments of all this literature were discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls. So we know that this literature, some of the sections were written maybe in the 3rd century BCE. And in one of the sections, the apocalypse or vision of the animals may be written in the time of the Maccabeans. We are told a version of the history of Israel, and in which, in one section, when the text is dealing with Second Temple time, it says the following: and they began again to build as before, and they reared up that tower. In this text, tower means the Mikdash, the temple. And it was named the High Tower. And they began again to place a table before the tower. It's the table with the holy bread. But all the bread on it was polluted and not pure. So a Jew in 2nd century BC said that actually the bread in the temple was impure. Even after the rededication of the temple by Judah the Maccabee on December 164 BCE, that we celebrate in Hanukkah. But not all the Jews agree with that. Not all the Jews, they saw the temple as a pure institution. And then it brings to me to say that we have some other testimonies in Second Temple literature about all the polemical issues around the temple. There is a famous passage in the Gospels, specifically in the Gospel of Mark, maybe the most ancient out of the 4 canonical Gospels in the New Testament, when we are told when Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and what he did as a Jew, he went up to the temple. And we are told in Mark chapter 11, and after Jesus and his disciples reached Jerusalem, he went into the temple and began chasing out everyone who was selling and buying. He turned over the tables of the money changers and the benches of those who were selling doves. Jesus wouldn't let anyone carry things through the temple. Then he told the people and said, the scriptures say, my house should be called a place of worship for all nations. Actually, he's quoting from Isaiah chapter 56. But you have made it a place where robbers hide. This is a quotation from Jeremiah chapter 7. What is implied in Jeremiah 7? That Jeremiah, the great prophet, warned Israel, don't trust on the temple, saying, God is not going to destroy Israel because we are the chosen people. And therefore, afterwards, we have a story in Mark chapter 13, when actually Jesus was leaving the temple, and one of his disciples said to him, "Teacher, look at these beautiful stones and wonderful buildings." Obviously, regular human beings were very much impressed by the building, but not Jesus. Jesus replied, "Do you see these huge buildings? They will certainly be torn down. Not one stone will be left in place." So actually, this is just a few examples about how different groups in Second Temple times they saw the temple. Some of them, they saw the temple as the center of the universe, and some others as a very impure place. And in this context, I have to present, and I have only 5 more minutes. Yes, 4. The community of Qumran, the people behind the Dead Sea Scrolls. And we assume, scholars, that actually the founders of the community were coming from priestly circles, priests that they disagree with other priests in the temple, and what decided, we assume by the end of 2nd century BCE and the beginning of 1st century BCE, to leave Jerusalem. And then we have, in a key document, 1 QS, the rule of the community, a new literary genre in Second Temple Judaism. In column 8, it says, "And when these become members of the community in Israel according to all the rules, they shall separate from the habitation of ungodly men," maybe a reference to Jerusalem, "and shall go into the wilderness to prepare the way of him." The wilderness. Today we read Bamidbar, the wilderness. Here in this context, maybe it's referring to the wilderness of Judea, not Sinai. And the question is, why they left Jerusalem, and what they were looking for in the desert? In Second Temple times, they didn't have AC in the wilderness. It's quite hard to survive in the wilderness of Judea. But what does it mean, the desert in Judaism? Have you ever thought the fact that the people of Israel, as a people, the nation was not born in the land of Israel? The nation of Israel was born in the desert, in between Egypt and Canaan. So for the Qumranites, to go into the wilderness was to recover the purity of the nation, to return to the beginning of Israel, and in fact, to renew the nation. So on that Shabbat, before Shavuot, the real desire is the renewal of the nation of Israel, of the state of Israel, and our hearts. Shabbat Shalom.